Okay, today we're going to be ranking every Pikmin type from every Pikmin game. So, let's just get it started. I think we start with the primaries and kind of work our way in, and we'll go game by game. Actually, nah, yeah, let's go game by game. Red Pikmin from 1. And, alright, just to give context here, I have played and beaten every single Pikmin game to 100%. So, I am quite literally the most qualified man to ask these questions. No, but I'm kidding. I do feel like I can kind of accurately do this. Maybe. We'll see. Red Pikmin 1. Honestly, pretty useful. It's been a little bit since I played, but there are definitely some fire hazards. They're the earliest Pikmin you get, and they and obviously their effects are they are immune to fire, and they have a 1.5 strength multiplier, so they hit about twice as hard as a normal Pikmin, which is pretty good. So they're just good for combat, and since there are only three types of Pikmin in the game, these guys are just naturally the best fighters, and there's quite a bit of fighting to do in that game. So overall, I would say Pikmin from 1, Red Pikmin from 1, I would say A tier. Now let's go with Yellow Pikmin from 1. Um, Yellow Pikmin, I don't even think, yeah, there weren't electricity obstacles in Pikmin 1. So the only real upsides of using Yellow Pikmin from 1 were that they were the only type that could carry the bomb rocks, which were very essential, and they could be thrown higher than the other Pikmin. So yeah, I'd say overall these guys were pretty useful. I would say not as essential as Reds, but I'd put them at a B. Yeah, I'd put them in a B. Now, the blue Pikmin from 1. Um, Now blue Pikmin pretty much only have one modifier, and they have always only really had one modifier, that being they can traverse water very well, better than any other Pikmin type. And there are quite a few treasures that are locked behind water in the first game. So honestly, I would put them, yeah, I'd put them with the yellows. I'd put them in B. They're pretty useful. I would say the yellows are slightly more useful because they have that extra bonus of being able to carry the bomb rocks, which really makes them helpful against bosses and stuff. But overall, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty solid ranking of the first three Pikmin from the first Pikmin game. All right, yep. Next up, we got Pikmin 2, the fan favorite and the fan whatever. I don't care. I don't have to talk. All right, yeah. Let's do yeah. So red Pikmin from Pikmin 2. Overall, they get outclassed in this game because now they are not the primary fighter Pikmin anymore. So they are not at A like in 1. Um, there are more fire hazards, but the fire hazards are not lethal. So honestly, and because they get completely outclassed as fighters, I would honestly put them in C for Pikmin 2. I feel like they really don't get utilized very much. Now, yellow Pikmin, on the other hand, these guys get a complete upgrade in this game. First of all, electricity becomes a thing. And electricity is actually a lethal obstacle in Pikmin 2, meaning if a Pikmin touches it, they instantly die. There's no stun or anything that you can whistle them out of. No, they just instantly die. So yeah, I don't think uh, definitely more useful than in 1. I am tempted to put them in S, but I think I'll leave them in A. I think A is a good rank. And then the blues, I feel like the blues, um, yeah, I think they're about as useful, I would say. Yeah, they'll stay in B. They'll stay in B. What else do we have? Uh, I don't know. I'm torn. C or B? I'll put him in B and see how I feel, I guess. Yeah, it kind of like matches up with the eye there. I thought that was a mistake for a second. No. Okay, now we got the new Pikmin types. Let's start with the whites. White Pikmin. So they are a new type introduced in 2. They are imbued with poison, so they are immune to poison obstacles, which there are a few of, not too many, but a few. and they also will damage enemies that eat them, which is an interesting bonus, and it does do quite a bit of damage. It does enough to kill a fully grown Bulborg, which is not bad. Definitely something to be considered. Though you can't really go feeding them all everywhere because they are limited. You can only find them in candy pop buds underground. There's no onion for them. They cannot reproduce in any way. You can't propagate them. Just said reproduce. God. Yeah. But overall, pretty good. And they are the only Pikmin that can unearth buried treasures, for which there are a surprising amount of, actually. So it's always worthwhile when you go into a cave having some of these guys on you just in case there's one, because unless you have whites, you just cannot get it. So you can't 100% the cave, and you'll just inevitably have to go back there later, which is annoying. So I'll put them in A. I'll put them in A. Purples, gonna put them in S before I even start explaining them. So purples are the outclass to the reds that I was talking about earlier. Purples do a ton of damage when they're thrown. They are like whites, only found through candy pop buds in the ground, and they will stun enemies that they land on. So if you have 20 purples, and stunning is such a huge thing because enemies cannot do shit when they're stunned. So it really is just free, honestly. Yeah. So red Pikmin completely red. Purple Pikmin completely break the game. And yeah, they go in S. And the final Pikmin type, which is often overlooked, the Bulbmin, who were also introduced in Pikmin 2. I'm gonna put them in high A, I would say. I don't think they belong in S, but I think they're high A. Reason is they're pretty rare. They're only found in a couple caves in the game, and they never leave those caves. Once you find them in caves, you'll find them following a mama Bulbmin, and you have to kill her because she's hostile. But then you can recruit her babies after you kill her, which is which is kind of brutal to think about, but it's a thing. So yeah, overall though, I'd say they're very good. They're immune to every hazard in the game, which is huge. They can go in water, which is kind of why the blues are down here. They're immune to electricity, poison. Yeah, they're good. They're very good. Their real only limitation is how few of them there are, and the fact that you cannot leave the caves with them. They kind of just like tragically stay behind as you get onto the geyser, which is sucks. But yeah, I put them at the top of A. It's always really nice to see them, and yeah, I think I'm happy with this. So like, the ones to the further left are better. So like for instance, even though these guys are all in the same rank, I think that yellows in one are better than blues in one. So yeah, actually, you know what? No, let's switch that around. There we go. That's better. Okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, looks pretty good. So there is Pikmin 1 and 2. I'm just checking, make sure I'm not missing anything. No, I'm not. Alrighty. Yeah. Time to move on to Pikmin. Okay, I'm getting a little confused here. Why are there? Because there's this, which is the red from Pikmin 4. But we still have three reds here, which is very confusing to me. I'm just gonna use this one as the Pikmin 3 red and this one as the Pikmin 4 red. I don't really know why. Yeah, very confusing, but you know what, that it's whatever. We'll roll with it. Yeah, we'll just leave this guy down here. I don't really know why he's here. All right, yeah. Red Pikmin from 3. I would say they are not as horribly outclassed as they are in 2, but they still do get a bit outclassed by a different type of Pikmin. So I would put them in the middle of B. I think that's fair. I put them in the middle of B. They're viable. They're good. There are a lot more fire hazards and fire enemies in Pikmin 3, which is good. Good to have them against. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yellows in Pikmin 3. The electric obstacles are back. However, they are now non-lethal, unlike Pikmin 2. Now the electricity simply stuns Pikmin, so they are not as useful. But there are still quite a few electric gates that they are the only ones who can take out. And as well as this, bomb rocks can now be held by every type of Pikmin in Pikmin 3. Bomb rocks weren't a thing in Pikmin 2. Well, they were, but you couldn't carry them. You couldn't use them. They were only weapons against you. So yeah, no. Yellows. Fuck it. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. I'll put them like there, I think. Nah, actually, behind the reds. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. They are still, I think, better than yellows in one, but not as good as the yellows in two, I think. Just simply because of how electricity is now not nearly as big a threat. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Blues. Pikmin 3 did a decent job of giving blues more underwater activities. However, they do get outclassed by another Pikmin, so honestly, I would put them at a C for this game. Yeah, they don't have a fun time. We'll do the ones we already ranked. So yeah, the two Pikmin from Pikmin 2 get very much nerfed in this game. White Pikmin, now there are no buried treasures in my. Now, first of all, they don't even appear in the story mode. They appear in the side challenges, which I have barely played. So maybe these rankings will just kind of be stupid. But overall, I don't think they're very good. I'll go ahead though. With whites, all I know is that really their only quality now is the fact that they're quick. And otherwise, that's about it. They still are poisonous, but their poison damage compared to Pikmin 2 is not nearly as much. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in C. I'll put them in like middle C. Purple Pikmin got completely fucking nerfed. Now they are no longer for combat. They are really only for carrying things. They still have their carry weight of 10, but aside from that, they no longer have the stun that they did in Pikmin 1. So, I mean, Pikmin 2. So, yeah, I'd put them. Yeah, they're really only useful for carrying. So, I'd put them like there, I'd say. Not very good. And then we have the two new types of Pikmin introduced in this game. Rock Pikmin. Now, Rock Pikmin are pretty good. Not as good as Purples and 2. But they are the combat Pikmin. They are immune to getting crushed, which is actually pretty good considering how many enemies in this game try to crush your Pikmin. The frogs, some of the arachnorbs. Yeah, a lot of crushing in this game. So it's cool to have a Pikmin that's completely immune to that. The cannon beetles crush your Pikmin. So overall, really good to have that immunity. And also they do a lot of damage. In my opinion, I just really like rock Pikmin a lot more than purples because rocks are actually like a lot better balanced than purples were. Because with rocks, they do a lot of damage, but the main difference that distinguishes them from the other types of Pikmin is that the rock Pikmin cannot latch on to anything. It instead just kind of bounces off and rolls away and then runs back to it, which admittedly makes them a lot clumsier and kind of more reckless than the other Pikmin. But I think that's a good way to balance them for having such high damage. So overall, I'd put them in high A. Put them right there. You know, yeah, I think that's pretty good. A little bit above those. Not as good as Bulbmin, but pretty good, I'd say. And winged Pikmin, the Pikmin that outclass blues. I would put winged Pikmin. They are really good for transporting stuff because they take shortcuts. They can lift stuff out of water. They can go over enemies. I'd put them in S. Honestly, they're pretty good. They're very, very good. S or high A. I don't know. I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll change my mind. Okay. So now, again, I don't know what this red is here. I think I think the tier list just made a mistake. But anyway, I think this is a pretty solid ranking of all the Pikmin from the first three games. Now, I have gone through and 100%ed Pikmin 4 two times in the past like ever since it came out, so like the past 3 weeks, and it has been a lot of fun. This game is amazing. So yeah, I think it's time to rank them. Red Pikmin. Now, this will be the one that I probably get the most information about because this Pikmin game is the one that's the most fresh in my mind, you know? With Red Pikmin, Pikmin 4. As usual, they're the first ones you get. and I'm pretty sure they're the first ones you get in literally every Pikmin game. Actually, no. In 3, technically you got the yellows first. But really you got the reds first. It's weird. Go play it. Yeah. Pikmin 4, reds. There are a lot of fire enemies. There are more fire obstacles. They introduced this like sizzling floor thing, which now to be fair, I feel like Ochi should honestly be on this list because he's like half Pikmin, half Captain. Pikmin Ochi kind of steals work from these guys a little bit, but there's still plenty of fire enemies. So honestly, I would say I'd put them at like low A or like maybe actually, you know what? I'll put them like there. They're decent. Yellow Pikmin. There's still electricity. It is, yeah, and they still have like their higher fighting mobility. There are a lot more. You know what? I'll put them at the top of B. I'll put them at the top of B. They're pretty good. Yellows. Yellows. The yellows, they still go high, and there are electricity traps in Pikmin 4. However, they are still not lethal like in 2. So that is automatically probably gonna lock them in B tier. Any other abilities? They dig faster. I don't think I mentioned that. It's a pretty subtle thing. It's not like a very big quality, but it can be cool. They do utilize them quite a bit in this game, though. There are quite. I do recall like several instances where I had to like go back and get yellows because there were a lot of treasures outside of my reach. So, yeah, I would say they do get utilized. I'll put them in like yeah, I'll put them there. Blue Pikmin, blues. There are actually quite a few water hazards now, and I would say they are not as useless as they are in Pikmin 3. I would put them not as useful as 1, but I'd put them like there, I'd say. I think that's a pretty good spot for them. There are quite a few water hazards. They introduce sprinklers in this game, which only the blues can traverse, which is pretty interesting. Um, and what else? What else? We've got some bosses. There was one boss in 3, the Quaggled Mirclop. My God, the Quaggled Mirclop. Myrclops? I don't know, the big rock guy. And he was in this arena, which was very unique because it was like kind of a muddy area. And when he would step in the ground, he would like indent the ground and flood the immediate area around where he stomped his foot. And that made blues a little bit viable in that fight, which is the only reason why they're not in D right now. So, which is the only reason that these dumbasses, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, so, and I think the developers really liked that idea from 3 because they brought it back multiple times in 4, that kind of like sinking arena. So again, they're very useful for that. There's a Sovereign Bullblacks fight like that. There's a yellow Wallywog fight like that. It's yeah. So I'd say it brought that back and made blues kind of useful. Several caves where they're very useful. There's a lot more water caves, which are really fun. The tropical resort is one of my favorite caves in that game. Really, really fun. All right, let's move on to the Pikmin 2 Pikmin. Bulbmin, unfortunately, do not make a reappearance. Well, they kind of do. Yeah, whatever. We'll get to that. White Pikmin. Honestly, um, there are poison obstacles. Now, in this game, unlike 3, in Pikmin 4, you find every Pikmin from the entire franchise in the story mode, which is kind of big, honestly, which is very big. And obviously spoilers. I mean, you've already been spoiled, but yeah, spoiler warning. I'll like edit it at the beginning of the video. I don't care. Yeah. White Pikmin and purple Pikmin have onions in this game. They have onions. They are pretty tough to get, but you can get them. I won't tell you how, but all I will say is that they do have onions and you can propagate them, which is really cool. There are poison obstacles, and there are also poison enemies in this game. There are even poison like hazards, the mushrooms, that really only the white Pikmin or Ochi with or an upgraded Ochi can deal with, which is really cool. So I would automatically they're better than the 3. I'd put them in like high B, I'd say. Maybe like, and their poison is a lot stronger too. So maybe I'll put them in like, I'll put them here. I'll put the Pikmin 2 whites here, I'd say. Yeah, like low A, I'd say. Now, Pikmin, purple Pikmin in 4. Again, you can propagate them now, big. And they have been rebuffed. Not as buffed, but I would say they're top of A. Not S, but A. They do not have their stun ability anymore. However, now instead of their stun, they have a area of effect ground pound thing that they do, which is very interesting. They still have the carry weight of 10 and just the weight of 10, I should say. Um, and I should say, yeah, so fucking nerd. I mean, I'm ranking Pikmin, bro. Of course, I'm gonna sound like a nerd. Who cares? Who cares, dude? But yeah, no, they're really good. They do a shit ton of damage when they initially latch on. They have like a thud thing. Um, and yeah, I would honestly say they are much better. Not as good as in Pikmin 2, but honestly, that's probably an overall good thing because they were just absolutely mind-bogglingly broken in Pikmin 2. So yeah, it's cool to see them a little bit more balanced, even though they're still pretty powerful in Pikmin 4. Now we have the Rock Pikmin. Rock Pikmin, I would say they are a little bit outclassed because they're in the same game with the purples. So I would honestly put them in like, yeah, low A. They are pretty good. They are pretty good. Maybe like high B, actually. Yeah, let me put them in high B. I think high B is good. Yeah, they still do a lot of damage. They pretty much have their same qualities in Pikmin 3. They didn't change them a whole ton because I think the developers were pretty happy with how they balanced rocks in Pikmin 3, and they should have been because I went on a whole rant about how I think they're pretty well balanced in 3. So they didn't really change them. The only reason they're kind of knocked down here is because the purples are better again and they're in the story mode. So they're like kind of in direct competition to see who is the better fighting Pikmin. So yeah, I would say, and they are definitely the better ones. So I would, yeah, put rocks down here. There are still glass walls that only the rocks can break. And there are the launcher enemies. I forget what their name exactly is, but they have those like white rocks on their back and they fling them up into the sky. Those are best dealt with rocks. You don't have to, but yeah. So yeah, overall, I'd put them in high B. I think they're good, but they are not as useful as in 3 because now they are in competition with perps. Now, Wing and Pikmin. Wing and Pikmin are still pretty good. I'm not putting them in C. They're still pretty good. Not as good as in 3, I'd say. Especially because of how late you get their onion. But I'd put them in like middle, maybe like lower end of A, I would say. Yellows from 2. No. Yeah, yellows from 2. Yeah. Better than those. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot for them. They have the same thing. They could fly. There are definitely some areas where it's useful, but I think the way the levels are laid out, they are a lot less useful than they were in Pikmin 3. I'd say so. Yeah, I think it's pretty comfortable to put them there. Now, finally, we get to talk about the new types added before. I'll start with the Ice Pikmin. Ice Pikmin. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just spoilers. Both of these are going in S. Both the new ones are going in S. Ice Pikmin are Pikmin that can freeze bodies of water. Completely freeze them over. Uh, they can freeze enemies. They are immune to ice hazards, and there are quite a few ice hazards in this game. There are ice bosses in this game. There are multiple ice bosses in this game. Um, and overall, they're just pretty great. They freeze enemies with the drawback of instead, when they die, instead of dropping a corpse that can be used to propagate Pikmin, they instead just kind of shatter and drop nectar, which is a little bit worse, but usually it doesn't really matter because when you use blue ices, you usually just want to kill the thing quick. And honestly, yeah, I think that yeah, they're really good. They're really good utility. There are ice geysers in this game. There are freezing floors where all Pikmin except ice will freeze. Well, probably glows don't freeze either. I've not really tested that, but yeah. There's several freezy enemies. They added a new Wollywog variant that is freezing. They added two different bosses that are freezing. Um, yeah, overall a lot of uses for these guys, and you get them very early on. You get them like right after reds. You get them before yellows, for God's sake. So yeah, very useful Pikmin. You'll be using them like all throughout the game. Um, and they're great for cheesing. It's overall pretty good. So yeah. Glow Pikmin. They're basically the better Bulkmen, so I'm gonna put them there. Glow Pikmin are, like Bulkmen, immune to every hazard in the game. Their drawback is that they are a nighttime Pikmin, because Pikmin 4 introduced the night mode to the game. And you might be like, oh, well, I can only use them in this one side mode. Then what's the point of even really ranking them? Because the reason is because you can also use them in caves. Because upon completion of a night mode mission, you will. Oh my God, I can't talk. Wow, this is embarrassing. I'm feeling really embarrassed right now. My God, fuck. But yeah, nah. So what was I talking? Yeah, right. So upon completing a night mode mission, you will obtain some glow seeds at the end, along with the cure or whatever that you can use to deleaf someone. And with the glow seeds, you can use them in a cave or in a different night mission to summon in glow Pikmin. So you can actually use them along with other Pikmin types in the caves, which is interesting. And like Bulbmin, if you do this, they will not leave the cave with you. They will instead just kind of stay behind. Um, so yeah, but you can, like Bulbmin, turn them into different types of Pikmin using the candy pop buds, which you can find underground. So overall, yeah, but they are immune to every hazard. They um they teleport to you, so there's no real way you can lose them, which is really useful. The only hazard they're not immune to is the death hazard, which I mean, no Pikmin type is immune to that one, so I don't think it was really worth bringing up. But they also aren't immune to getting crushed, which the rock Pikmin are. So aside from those two, though, they're immune to fire, electricity, water, poison, everything. They're immune to everything. And they also have an ability where you can charge them into a glow mob and send it at an enemy, which explodes and stuns them. Meanwhile, the glow Pikmin will emerge and basically just swarm the enemy and most times kill it. So yeah, really good. Really good Pikmin type. And again, I don't know why this guy's here. We'll just leave him down there or whatever. Can I put him back? No, I can't. All right, whatever. Well, either way. Yeah, there is my conclusive Pikmin tier list. If you disagree, let's go back over them just real quick, just in case I have any last minute decisions. So S, top of S, purples from 2. Then we got the Ice Pikmin, the Glow Pikmin, and the Wingeds from 3, which I think this is a pretty solid S tier right here. With the A tier, we've got purples in 4 at the top, Bulbmin, Rocks from 3, Whites from 2, Reds from 1, Wingeds from 4, Yellows from 2, and Whites from 4. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I may, you know what, I think I'm gonna move whites down to, I think I'm gonna move them down here, I'd say. Yeah, I think that's good. So at the top of B, we have rocks from 4, reds from 4, yellows from 4, um, blues from 1. Okay, honestly, I'm gonna put the blues back up here, I think. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yellows, you got the reds from 3, the blues from 4. Honestly, I think I'm gonna move that down a little bit. Yeah, to put it behind the yellow from 3. Because again, the blue Ochi being able to swim as well as the ice Pikmin being able to freeze water kind of knocks them down a peg, and also they have winged Pikmin as well, so Yellows from 1. Um Hmm. Yeah, actually, let's leave it like that. And then we got the blues from two. We got reds from, and then at the C tier, we've got reds from three. Whites from, no, reds from two. Whites from three, purples from three, and blues from three. And yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. And then we just kind of ignore D tier. So yeah, I'd say this is a pretty conclusive Pikmin tier list. If you disagree, feel free to unsubscribe and delete this video from your watch history. Otherwise, and don't engage whatsoever. I am not open-minded whatsoever. I'm not going to be listening to any opposing opinions other than ones who I'm not, I don't need to talk about this. This is just kind of the right Pikmin tier list. This is the first objectively correct Pikmin tier list. Fuck it. This is the first objectively correct tier list ever. The first one. Nobody with a brain should be disagreeing with this. I swear to God. But yeah, no. In all seriousness, that was it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I've been really loving Pikmin recently, and ever since a few months, well, ever since all the Pikmin games got ported to the Switch, I've just been playing the absolute shit out of them. My dream is that one day there will be so many Pikmin games that I can play through them all sequentially, and by the time I have finished the last one, I can go back to play the first one, and it'll be fresh again. And I don't know when this will come true. Maybe after Pikmin 5 comes out, sometime in the next 20 years, but I guess we'll see. Overall, though, Pikmin is a great game franchise, and now that literally every major Pikmin game is on the Switch, I would highly recommend people who are like kind of just getting in on Pikmin from Pikmin 4, go play the other three. Seriously, go play the other three. They all have something unique to bring to the table, and they are all fun in their very own way, and they're all definitely worth your time. Pikmin is, in my opinion, the most unique game franchise that Nintendo has. There aren't really any other games like it. So yeah, if you enjoyed Pikmin 4, play the others. Play the others. Play 2 last. Play 3 and 1 first. Then play 2. Play 2 last, because 2 whatever. We can discuss the games in another video. But yeah. Um that was my tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you later. Goodbye.